You want to play rough? Okay. No. Say hello to my little friend. Okay, Yolanda.
Kyle, what an honor to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me, Benny.
You're a brave dude.
Thank you.
And you are an exonerated dude, and you are a man who stood up to evil, faced it, and who came out alive because you had the bravery to actually face evil, and you had the bravery to confront evil, and you did what was necessary. And it seems like we live in a time of expanding evil. It seems like we live in a very spiritual time right now, where there is a great deal of forces that require confrontation. I know you speak about this in your brand new book, Acquitted, but can you talk to this greater overall moment that we're going through as a country, what you saw firsthand and what you see today?
Absolutely. I was in a situation where I was forced to defend myself, but today I see situations all over the world, such as New York with Daniel Penny, or we saw in Texas with Daniel Perry, who was forced to defend himself, and again in New York with the guy at the subway station, again, who fired the gun at the mugger. And these people are being prosecuted for self-defense and for standing up for their rights and for other people. And we just see our country in a downhill spiral of our rights being stripped away right in front of us.
Yes. So when you have a community of people that can't defend themselves, right? When you can come to me and hit me and I can't fight back, I'm a slave. By definition, I'm a slave, right? Like when I can't defend myself, you are the master, I am the slave. Because you can inflict violence on me and I can't do anything about it. And more importantly, if the slave strikes the master, then the slave gets punished, right? So what they're creating is effectively the new form of a new form of master-slave relationships where we are not allowed to defend ourselves. By definition, that's slavery.
Essentially, they're taking away our firearms. They're trying to change the Second Amendment. We have Gavin Newsom out of California. Sorry, Gavin Newsom out of California.
I see what you did there, young man. Well done. The memers celebrate.
Trying to propose the 28th Amendment, which by definition abolishes the Second Amendment, is super unconstitutional. And it's just ridiculous to see things like this happening on an everyday basis, because this is not what our founding fathers pictured.
Yeah, there's defending yourself physically, and then there's defending yourself spiritually. I know you get into that in your new book, Acquitted. Can you talk to me a little bit about your spiritual journey after what happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin? Obviously, we've watched the trial. Everyone has seen the outcome. Kyle Rittenhouse, not guilty. Y'all got to feel me. But that brought you through a very fascinating spiritual journey. Can you talk to me about that?
Absolutely. It taught me a lot of things. Like, it taught me to trust in the Lord, to honestly, it soothed my worry a little bit with like, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and God's plan is the right plan. So I just have to trust in God. And it taught me that. It taught me to trust in God. And it gave me a bunch of other trials to where I knew they may have seemed bad in the moment, but I knew the outcome was always going to be good because God's plan is good. And it taught me that.
Well, God does have a good plan. He does have protection over his people. I mean, it's remarkable watching the clips of that night and you, because it does seem like God had his, like, a literal guardian angel over you, because there was no way you were supposed to make it out alive that night in Kenosha.
Oh, 100%. I stared down the barrel of Mr. Grosskreut's gun, and I was able to stop that threat before he was able to pull the trigger, along with several other threats. God was definitely with me that night. Yes.
Somebody who wasn't with you is the current resident of the White House who defamed you and who called you a vile racist that night. People don't remember this. Joe Biden defamed you and went after you and your character for what has now been found, and what was clearly, to anyone watching, an act of self-defense. And so, like, I believe that you are threatening legal action, or at the very least speaking out against Joe Biden. What happened when you saw Joe Biden say such vile things about you?
I mean, I saw that clip and I was like, wow, He used my face in the campaign video and a couple other things. And I just saw, wow, politics has nothing to do with this case. This is a case of self-defense, not a political election. And he put my face right slap dab in the middle. And I was kind of disgusted by it. I was like, I'm a 17-year-old kid at the time. How can a grown man do that? I understand that he likes children quite a bit, but to put my face in something like that is really disturbing.
Yeah, that's right. It's probably because if more kids were armed, then he wouldn't have the right to come from behind and sniff most of them in the hair. So this is actually a direct threat to Joe Biden's smelling circus. So what we have here in Kenosha is a situation where you spent 87 days in jail, and you had to go to a trial, and it was excruciating, a self-defense trial. You were found not guilty, yet the people who burned down the city, the people who torched cities across America, have faced virtually no ramifications. People burned a Wendy's down in Atlanta. They burned a Wendy's down. They burned it to the ground, and they got fined $500 today. That ruling hit the wire today. And so your thoughts on the dual justice system in this country, as you are yourself a victim of that system.
Absolutely. And who burns down a Wendy's? Let's just start with that. Who burns down a Wendy's, and to only get fined $500 for it? But that's not even the worst of it. 98% of these people haven't even been charged. And the people who do defend themselves, the people who do stand up and protect themselves and end up having to save their own life, are put on trial, and then they're either found guilty, like we have Daniel Perry out of Austin, Texas, or we have me who's put on trial. Thank God I was found not guilty, but it should never have gone to trial to begin with.
Yes, that's right. In a different era, it would have been like just clean cut. Yeah, you're allowed to defend yourself. Yes, we're not slaves in this country. You're allowed to defend yourself. And you don't have to accept the fact that a bunch of predators, pederasts, and Antifa degenerates are coming after you to murder you. If a mob of people, whoever they are, but the mob that came after you happen to be convicted pedophiles and convicted criminals, if these convicted criminals are coming after me, then I have a right to defend myself. This was simple and common sense for what seemed like the last 250 years of American history, and then suddenly something changed, and things got sideways. What went wrong, Kyle?
Politics 100% had a play into it. People started getting weak. We started electing district attorneys who were funded by George Soros or other organizations who are interested in not protecting our rights, but interested in pushing their own narrative. The Constitution kind of just fell through the cracks when these people went to law school, apparently, because they don't seem to be following through with it.
Yeah, it really, really does seem like we're in a point of peril and like a bizarre world, upside down universe. But we're very, very, we cheered from the top of our lungs when you were found not guilty, and we were very thankful for just like a small sliver of sanity in the country. Your book is a sliver of sanity. What will people find when they go to their local bookstores or order online Acquitted?
Well, people are going to learn that a lot of the narratives were wrong. A lot of people say I grew up privileged and I had everything handed to me, which is just not true. I grew up with a mom working 80-hour weeks trying to put food on the table and a drug addict dad. It wasn't easy growing up. And I talk a lot about that in my book. I talk about how I got through some of these struggles. I talk a lot about the trial and a lot about the incident of what happened. But I think people are really going to realize how bad the defamatory was, how bad some of the things that happened were, that they may not realize.
And if it can happen, if they're doing this to you, they're doing this as a test case for the rest of the country. So this is a message. They're obviously sending a message that you're not allowed to defend yourself any longer, that you're inhuman, that you are a slave. Like, do you agree with that framing?
Oh, absolutely. If I was found guilty, self-defense would have been completely dead in this country. Thank God I wasn't. But I think they still are using it to like, okay, if you defend yourself, we're still going to put you on trial. We're going to bankrupt you. We're going to make you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars and lawyers and experts just so you don't have to spend the rest of your life in prison.
Yeah. Where are you today? What? I heard that you were considering going to college. Some colleges were very upset about that. What's the current status of Kyle Rittenhouse?
Well, I currently work a 9 to 5. I'm out doing some media right now. I'm in Florida.
You work a 9 to 5.
Yeah, I work a 9 to 5 day job.
Really?
Yep.
Doing what? Can I ask?
I'll let you know off the record.
Okay. All right. I'm interested.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
I want to invite. We partner with an AR-15 company, Spike Tactical. So I want to invite you out shooting with me. So
yeah,
I guess.
absolutely. I actually have a Spike Tactical AR.
My man. All right. Well, let's meet at the range sometime.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then you're in Florida. Well, that's very good. So you're in a state that allows you to protect yourself still.
I live in Texas, but I'm currently in Florida.
Oh, okay. Got it. Well, both fantastic. Both spectacular states. Very smart, very wise. You have to choose your states wisely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's sometimes things that the free states aren't even that free.
Yes, that's exactly correct. But Texas and Florida are two good ones. What's your advice to young kids? Because young kids these days, young men particularly, are rejecting a system that is requiring that they become corporate castrated simps, and that they just give up. Right. And I think that young men are looking for inspiration. You are an inspiration to a great deal of them. They want to be able to stand up for themselves, as you did. I mean, maybe not in the same. Hopefully, God forbid, people find themselves in the same situation that you found yourself in, but they still wish to be able to stand up for themselves. Your advice to young men watching this?
Absolutely. That's a good question, Benny. My advice for young men my age watching this is just find motivation. I know I struggled with that a little bit, just finding motivation to go out there and do things, do the right thing. Like, not like go to a riot or anything, but like a motivation to do the right thing and help people and get an education, be smart, be financially smart, and just be a good person. A lot of people struggle with that these days.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The one thing I've always wanted to ask you, and it was my final question, but I think a very powerful one, is everyone's seen the clip of you hearing the not guilty read again and again and again in the courthouse, and you just really breaking down emotionally. I want you to talk me through, like, what was going through your mind at that moment?
Well, I walked in and I had right before we went into the verdict, I had a very quick question with the sheriff, not sheriff, but deputy. And he was like, hey, no matter what happens, we're going to get you out of here really quick. And if you're found guilty, we're going to handcuff you in the elevator, but you're going to run to the elevator. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Very nervous.
Goodness.
You think this is going to be found guilty?
That's what the sheriff said to you?
He said, if I'm found guilty, we're not going to handcuff you in the courtroom. We're going to rush you down to the elevator and then we'll arrest you down there. And I said, all right.
Goodness. Wow. What a vote of confidence from the sheriff. Jeez.
Well, I mean, he was a nice guy, but
yeah. Well, that's something you don't want to hear, though. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Is that for your own safety?
Yeah, for my own safety.
Yeah.
And then he said, if I'm not found, we'll still run down there, but then I'll just be put in my vehicle and I'll get to go home. Thank God I was found not guilty, but standing there, I stood up and I couldn't breathe. Like, my chest was extremely tight. I just got done throwing up like 10, 15 minutes prior when I heard the verdict was reached. And I just felt the weight off of my shoulder every single verdict, and like my knees collapsed out in front of me. I couldn't even stand up.
So not all of this was 100% your physical reaction to the weight of the moment.
Absolutely.
Just being released. What was happening spiritually in this moment?
I definitely felt God with me. I felt God like saying over me, no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. If you're found guilty, it's my plan, and my plan's a good plan. No matter what happens, you'll be okay, and I'll be with you.
Such an incredible lesson, such a powerful thing. You're going to be okay. No matter what happens, I'll be with you. That's what God was telling you in this moment.
That's definitely what I felt God saying to me.
Yes. That is a lesson that many of us could learn. Young man and many people who are twice your age or 3 times your age could take into their days, day by day, as that God's with us, and he's got us. And we're not even facing remotely what you faced when you were you 18 at the time?
I was 7. Yes, I just turned 18. I was 18 for a couple months.
Incredible. Too young to even be drafted. And yet this was all happening to you. God bless you, Kyle. Everyone should support Kyle and go out and purchase his brand new book, which is an absolute page turner and is available, I believe, everywhere currently.
It's currently only available at RittenhouseBook.com. And you can pre-order a signed copy, and you can pre-order a regular version. I'll be hand signing every single copy that is pre-ordered for signed.
Got it. All right. Well, we all know you have very good trigger discipline, Kyle. So good luck signing. Happy trails. God bless you. And stay based.
Thank you, Benny.